Hello, adventurers, wastelanders, and other open world explorer type people. I'm Caedo Genesis. This is my co-host, Bad Company Sarge.
Hello there.
And you are listening to the PIPCAST 3000, a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about a little bit of gaming news and then have a Bethesda adjacent or Fallout or something or other Elder Scrolls something kind of topic. This episode, we're going to be talking about the Game Awards because those happened, and I kind of forgot the day of, even though I was prepared to enjoy some of the trailers. So we're going to be doing like a half and half kind of thing where we're kind of recapping what we're interested in from the Game Awards. Some links to trailers and stuff like that will be in the description. And some, the Game Awards always comes with a little bit of cringe. So I know Sarge hasn't watched it, so I'm going to supply. Let's see if I can supply a little bit of the cringe.
I only accept my cringe secondhand. I do not purchase new cringe.
You only listen to cringe from Caedo.
Yep.
I don't know what that says about me. Then we'll get into a discussion topic about Fallout's difficulty and how it's kind of changed over time and things that maybe could be improved. I don't know. Sarge suggested this one.
How hard should Fallout be?
Yeah, let's go with that. That's actually a better title than what we were working with to start with, so good job.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you to the supporters, including Wasteland Legends, Sven and Rose, for supporting the show and the channel, and the main channel. And we got some comments of the cast, Sarge. Not only did we get a YouTube side one, we also got a Spotify side one. Some of the Spotify listeners are actually using the comments sections now.
Wow.
So why don't you go first with the YouTube side, and then we can discuss.
Yeah, so the almighty Leroy says, I'm like 90% sure there aren't any charisma checks in New Vegas. They're in free. I usually play charisma characters too. And that's because we talked about it a bit last time when we were ranking all the perks. And I think you brought up at one point just like, oh, it's good to have high charisma for charisma checks, and I agreed. I googled this afterwards and did a bit of checking on it, and 90% is the exact amount of certainty you should have, because you are 90% correct, Leroy. Technically, there are charisma checks in New Vegas. However, I don't think it even shows you that it is a charisma check. There's basically just hidden dialogue options if you have like 7 charisma. It always seems to be 7 for some reason, but there's only like 3 or 4 of them in the entire game, and they all seem pretty inconsequential.
I want to say it's still in brackets like it would be a skill check, but I
don't think it tells you that it's charisma.
Because there are strength and endurance ones like early on in Prim too that do the exact same thing. That's why I kept thinking that. Yeah. Because like these muscles make it hard to hear sometimes. Like that's one of my favorite ones to do, and it's a strength or endurance check. Yeah. So
I think the only mildly notable charisma one is if you're playing as a female character, you can flirt with Corporal Betsy.
Oh.
And that's like as interesting as it gets for charisma checks.
Okay.
So yeah, they are technically in the game, but basically not.
Okay.
Like, you would not notice them unless you were looking out for them. They're few and far between. But what's the Spotify comment, Caedo?
Oh, good question. Kellen Stone left a comment on the Spotify side. Yes, we are on Spotify as PIPCAST 3000 also. Thank you for giving me a Bethesda podcast / PIPCAST. You make my day every time you upload an episode. Thank you. I said the thank you.
I didn't. I refuse to thank you. You want me to be nice? No, I'm the villain of the Pipcast. I'm going back on that arc again. I've decided it's return to my villain era time.
Yes, Sarge is the negative karma vault boy. I guess I'm the goody two shoes. I guess that's how it works. Mm-hmm. Sarge is the devil on your shoulder. But thank you. That was a very sweet comment. I'm glad our show is still being listened to by some people after the big move, because that was a big move, and I was fully expecting like not everybody to come over to the new channel as well as the Spotify. So thanks. thank you for being here. So why don't we get onto the stuff, the newsy things, stuff happened.
Stuff.
Like the B-roll that you're seeing if you're watching the VOD, is Sarge and I why don't you describe what happened when we went on our adventure this week?
We beat the new super difficult content. It was so easy. God, Bethesda, make something difficult for once. We're totally not bringing up difficulty as a topic because we got our ass handed to us. No, it was super easy. We shot a robot a few times. Definitely didn't get basically insta-killed by it. We're great and good at games.
Didn't get insta-killed, nor did we get incinerated, right, Sarge?
I watched back the footage earlier today, and there's a point where you'll see in the B-roll where I almost make it through the door. I time it just perfectly wrong, where the door closes basically right in front of my face, and I get burnt to death. So, what we're talking about, for those who can't see the footage, is Fallout 76 Gleaming Depths. This is yet another free update for Fallout 76, which, first of all, I just want to say I'm very happy that at the end of 2024, this game is still getting free updates.
Yes.
That's great to see. Take note, Starfield.
Yeah.
And...
quality control is it's a whole nother thing, I think, too.
Yeah. But this new update is a big raid, which apparently has like a giant cobra-looking enemy in it at some point.
Yeah.
We didn't make it that far.
No.
We saw the first 2 parts out of this 5-part raid. There's 5 parts, Caedo. We didn't make it halfway through.
Oh.
The only reason we made it to the second part is because either A, you can just open up a door and get through in the first place, or because Eric had already done the first part.
Yeah.
This is like a super difficult raid. Mm-hmm. Like, normally 76 isn't that hard. Like, dying isn't a big deal anyway, because either someone picks you up, or you just respawn, you can try again, no big problem. In this, you die, there's no reviving. Your team's left alone. Oh god, my voice is going.
Snake, is that you?
Oh, sorry. There we go. Yeah, you just die, and there's no revives. You're just out of it, and then the rest of your team has to do the raid. And if you're
has
like
to do
Caedo
that
and
section of the raid.
Yes.
You do revive in the next section if your team survives, but...
That doesn't happen.
That doesn't.
Because Caedo and I did the first one, which is facing like a sentry bot with a shield. And you basically have to be on opposite ends of the arena, hiding behind pillars, and then poking out and shooting it. Because you can only damage it in the back. And it will always spin around to look at one of you and shoot. Which means that if only one of you is left, it's basically always facing you. Mm-hmm. Which just, super difficult.
Yeah.
These are incredibly challenging, designed for 4 high-level players with top-tier gear.
Yeah.
And even then it will still be a challenge.
Yeah, and for the first part, we were trying to 2-man a 4-man. So...
Yep.
That's... that was us just experimenting and learning the mechanics. So if we try it again in the future, we don't... I mean, for me... dungeons in general, like I don't want to look like an idiot, so I try to get as far as I can, or just look up something on it, so I don't. Yeah. So I'm on the same page as everyone else.
Yep.
So at the very least, that was training for when we try to do it for real. But it was fun to get B-roll of it.
Yeah.
For sure. And thank you to Eric, Steeltown Eric, for jumping in with us for that second phase and us learning that one a little bit, which is really fun.
I think the second phase is more interesting, but also harder, honestly.
The second one was definitely Left 4 Dead inspired, for sure. Yeah.
I think it's the case that technically on the second part, where you're fueling up a drill, we got over halfway through that whole thing before we failed. That was like our best attempt was a bit over half.
Yeah.
Whereas technically the robot, we got like 1/5 of its health down, and that was as good as we ever got.
Yeah, well, it's because of the shield mechanic. Like I called it before it even popped the first time. Like I'm like, the shield probably regenerates, huh? So and it did. So we got the shield down once. We unloaded into him, and then he got his shield back. I'm like, well, it took us like 15 minutes for the first phase.
It took us 10 minutes for the first phase. We would have pretty much been there an hour, I reckon, if we successfully got through.
If we did it without
section.
getting destroyed by missiles too.
Yeah.
So
it's the fact that missiles stagger you a bit, and then it's got like a laser Gatling arm, which just decimates your health bar with every shot.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, like, last time we talked about an update we actually played, it was the Caravan one, which was like, it was cool in concept. Like, I like the idea, but it didn't reward you with enough to justify the entry cost. Is kind of what we both landed on for that one. But this one, on the other hand, the incentive is you can get 4-star legendaries, which you can't get anywhere else in 76.
Yeah.
So
this is like as hard as the game gets, but it gives you
the best stuff.
Best reward.
Yeah.
Like, just better than anything else you're gonna get.
Yeah. So I am gonna sometime in the future I'm gonna give it an attempt again, because that incentive is there.
Yeah.
And also, you'll also see in the B-roll the complaints Sarge and I have about uniques. Man, 76 it kind of does uniques the way we want them to be.
I mean, it does it at the same time as expanding the legendary system to make it impossible to get a random drop of what you actually want.
Yeah.
Like, I made a video, like, a year or so after the game was out, being like, the legendary system's broken, you've got a 0.00003% chance of getting the item you want, which I ran the numbers, that is genuinely the chance at the time, and it's only gone down from there.
Yeah.
If you've got, like, a specific 4-star legendary you want, that's gonna be, oh god, no, I can't run the numbers in my head. No, it's gonna be next to impossible.
I mean, that, but also, I think it was linked in the 76 chat, like, I'm pretty sure the 4 stars are preset, like named things, like, that have specific effects on them. So I'm pretty sure, just like the event items, which is why I'm talking positively about it, like the event items, like, they have a specific vibe to them stats wise that makes them viable, instead of putting, I don't know, bolstering on an armor piece and ruining the whole thing. So
yeah.
It's like,
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, me too.
Although I imagine for a lot of people they're after the 4-star mods rather than the 4-star weapons.
Yeah.
Just so they can already upgrade their broken gear.
Yeah.
Which you're gonna need to get through the raid, to be fair.
For sure.
Like, I was using a gun, like a noob. An absolute noob shooting with an explosive fixer. Oh, pathetic. Why wasn't I using something that fires a green ball of goo? That's the meta now, from what I can gather.
Maybe.
Green goo balls.
Yep. Plasma caster, or cremator, or I don't know, pepper shaker. People still use those, right?
Man, I have none of these things, I don't think. I don't even know what they look like.
Grenade machine gun.
I got a fixer. I was like, yeah, the fixer, man. The fixer's cool. Remember the fixer, everyone?
We were both using the fixer, Sarge. I have
was
my
so good for so long.
vampiric one.
And
it's
then I
still
just
good.
stopped playing the game for a couple of years,
Sarge,
and suddenly it's not the best weapon anymore.
It's still good. This was just a raid boss that 2 people attempted.
Yeah.
And then 3 people, but it wasn't... That was more of a run away or you'll die instantly situation.
Yeah. The second part of a raid has an enemy which literally insta-kills no matter what.
Yeah, it's invincible, and it chases you through the corridors. It's actually kind of great.
Yeah,
I like
that
that as a mechanic. Because you're not supposed to stand still anyway. You're supposed to run in, get the fuel, then bring it back. But to make it interesting, there's stalkers in those corridors that chase you down. But I noticed their turn speed is really slow too, thankfully. So if you're behind them, like, you'll still be able to, like, squeeze by them in the corridor, which is really funny.
Wish the Sentrybot's turn speed was slow.
Yeah, same.
It's so quick.
It's very thick. Very, very quick. Very, very thick.
It's quite thick as well.
Very, very thick. I have nothing else to say really about the update, because we didn't experience much more than that, I don't think.
No, there's player titles you can get, which you'll technically see in the B-roll as well, which you unlock by doing events and things, and also pets for camps, like you can get a dog and a cat, but as far as I can tell, that seems to be Atom Shop stuff. I'm not sure if they've added in a way to just get that in the game.
I think it is.
There's the season pass, which is part of, which I suppose is one way to do it, but it seems to be mostly an Atom Shop thing.
Yeah.
But you know what isn't an Atom Shop thing? The Game Awards!
And Game of the Year!
Yeah! 76 didn't win Game of the Year, guys.
It didn't.
I'm sorry to tell you
I don't think it was even in ongoing nominees.
Oh, man. I can't remember what the ongoing nominees were.
I don't know, it was like...
I know what my one would be. But what did win Game of the Year, Caedo?
Astrobot! You can put your worries to rest. Astrobot won. And we don't have to worry about discussing an Elden Ring DLC as being Game of the Year, because it wasn't.
Nope, we've got a different Elden Ring thing to discuss. But we'll get to that in a second. Caedo, as the one person here who actually watched the Game Awards, what do you want to say about it?
It was okay as a show. There was so much packed into the show, like they said it too, that the pre-show actually had some awards given out even before it properly started, which is kind of annoying because of how it's even time-stamped. Just like those awards are just kind of forgotten about, I guess.
Yeah.
It was less. I don't know if less is the right term. The ads were a bit more quick, but I also kind of skipped through some of it because I watched it like an hour later from when it started, so I was able to skip ahead.
Mm-hmm.
There was a weird looking trailer of a game with very colorful cats, like pastel colored cats with really like weird looking space cosmic eyes.
Okay.
that didn't look right, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it might have been an AI generated game trailer. So that was some of the cringe that I feel like I saw. It was that, or really weird soulless space cats being weird. So there was that. Flute Guy was there when they did the orchestra covers of various gaming songs and stuff like that. The dude had like 12 wind instruments next to him and queued up, so he was switching on the fly and was very entertaining, but there was no camera trained on him this time, unfortunately. So you didn't, when you would show like the zoomed out version of the orchestra, like he would just have something different in his hands that he was playing. But that's the anti-cringe. That's the cool part of the stuff.
That's the cool. Oh no!
One of the cool parts.
No.
Sorry,
I was really hoping this was the cringe part we were on now, and this was as bad as it was going to get. No, don't tell me it gets more cringe, Caedo.
I mean, well,
that was like barely cringe at all. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's fine. But,
yeah. Waldorf and Statler were making meta jokes. The Muppets, Waldorf and Statler.
Yeah.
They were making meta jokes about like the Elden Ring DLC being nominated and stuff like that, and Jeff Keighley being friends with Hideo Kojima, and Hideo Kojima asking if Hideo Kojima knows that they're friends, which I thought that one was kind of funny, but some of the jokes obviously did not land.
Yeah,
that's always kind of one of the things that the Game Awards doesn't quite nail is humor, when either their announcers or, well, even the Muppets are trying to crack jokes. So yeah, there were aspects of it that I skipped, like some of the live music I didn't care about. Like I didn't care about 21 Pilots or Snoop Dogg's performance.
But that's two of the three things listed in the title.
Two of the three things listed in the title for SEO purposes that I don't care about. So I skipped those because those weren't game trailers or recognition going to developers who deserve it. Because that's part of the reason why I like seeing it too, is you could tell the Astrobot devs were like so happy to be both nominated and given so many awards during the show, because it wasn't just Game of the Year, it was a bunch of them.
I do kind of wonder if there's ever been a Game of the Year which is only one Game of the Year. Because it always feels like if you're getting the Game of the Year, you're probably getting a couple of other awards as well.
Yeah, that is a good question, actually. Well, we have 10 years to go through, Sarge. You ready? This is the 10-year anniversary of the Game Awards, too, by the way. That's one of the things that Jeff Keighley brought up. He was just like, yeah, this is a very special show. So, like, you know, I guess they pulled out all the stops. I was just, I was still just kind of there for more trailer promotion stuff. So let's get into the trailers. I don't have too much more to say, really, I don't think, about the show itself.
Okay. Well, the trailers are what I watched, because that's all I really care about.
Yeah.
I didn't even really care who won Game of the Year. Like, Astrobot's won, and I'm like, okay. That's it. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I need to play it still. I have my PS5 just sitting there.
It's a PlayStation thing, so I won't end up playing it. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
What I might play one day, and which, like, one person who follows me constantly asks me to play, even though I pointed out that I don't own the game, is Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And Elden Ring got a trailer, but it's not for Elden Ring, and it's not for an Elden Ring DLC, it's for an Elden Ring spin-off called Night Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people try and describe this game, and it's weird. Because people throw around terms like co-op survival roguelike battle royale.
What?
And think that just explains the whole thing.
That's not... No. I disagree with whatever they said.
Okay.
Unless that was an example.
How would you describe what you think this game is?
Well, I was concerned that it was going the direction that we see a lot of games trailers go, which was the live service-y kind of thing. But apparently they went on social media almost immediately after to say, no, this is a closed co-op experience. You unlock things inside the game. So if that puts anybody's worries to rest, it did mine.
Yeah.
Even though this is, again, a franchise that now it's a franchise, I guess. A franchise that I appreciate from a distance because I'm not really a Souls-like kind of guy.
Yeah. I do think for a lot of the people who are feeling critical or concerned or even, like I am, slightly confused about this game, it's the fact that From Software has, like, a really good record for the most part.
Yeah.
There's a couple of their games which aren't loved, and then, like, almost all of their other games are seen as masterpieces by some people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and for a lot of people, this, because it's basically like a co-op killing lots of stuff together in a big Elden Ring style map, but there's some boss rush elements. It's weird. It's weird, but it's not like your standard single-player FromSoft game, so a lot of people are concerned, which is also why they're obviously trying to mitigate that concern by immediately jumping on social media and being like, no, it's not the worst interpretation you can think of this. We've not done that, don't worry, it's not this weird live service model, it's just a co-op Elden Ring-style experience. But yeah, it's very, very strange. The main things I took away from the trailer were, first of all, like, as I was watching the trailer, I was like, this doesn't feel like a single-player RPG trailer, which made sense when I realised it wasn't a single-player RPG.
Makes sense, yeah.
And the other thing was, I recognise those two bosses. What are they doing in Elden Ring? And one of them is the Centipede Demon, who I've absolutely smashed. I have literally never died to the Centipede Demon. Get on my level, scrubs.
Wow.
Yeah. That shows up at, like, the 1 minute 20 mark. And then a little later on, the Nameless King shows up, who I have died to many, many times. Get on my level, scrubs. I have actually beaten
You're
the
not
Nameless
dying
King,
like me, come on.
I have defeated the Nameless King. I've got footage of it. I don't know if I'll ever show it because it's a 2-part boss fight from from Dark Souls 3. And the first half is this dude riding a dragon, and that's like the king of the storm. And that feels like a standard sort of Dark Souls boss fight. And I was like, okay, I can manage this. This is difficult, which makes sense. It's like the optional boss for super hard one. It makes sense. But then you kill the dragon, and you fight the Nameless King. And the way you're supposed to beat the Nameless King is like perfectly dodge 5 attacks in a row, hit him once, and then perfectly dodge 6 attacks in a row, hit him once, and repeat. And it's a boss fight I hated. Because even once I'd mastered the first half, yeah, it's so annoying. So annoying to go through. So instead, I just kept running to the corner of the map and shooting him with an arrow, and then running to the other corner and shooting him with the arrow, and he just walks after you, and I killed him that way. Because you can literally just do that. It doesn't work on the first half, which I found out when the dragon just ate me, but it works on the second half. So yeah. Those were a couple of the bosses I recognised, but it does seem like this will be almost a boss rush sort of mode. And it's a separate thing. It's very weird.
I wonder if it's more of like a Remnant inspired kind of game, because Remnant can be co-op all the way through, and it is also has roguelike elements when it comes to its map. So
yeah,
that's my association that I got when I heard more about it.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls has like some lighter elements of roguelites and co-op in it already. You can play co-op in the game, and go through that way. And
you can,
I mean,
but it's not
die and then get
persistent
stronger
co-op.
And stuff. No,
like they haven't done persistent co-op unless you mod it in.
Yeah, you can almost persistently co-op in the Souls games, which is quite annoying. Like, I've not done co-op, but you basically can go through entire sections, then you beat the boss, and then I think the co-op ends, and then you just move to the next section, which is always like less than a minute away, and then you can summon in a co-op partner again.
Yeah.
And it's very strange. But yeah, this seems like a more dedicated co-op experience, which hopefully people will enjoy.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if Remnant 2 is any, positive look at something like that, like, I had a heck of a lot of fun. I mean, as long as you're playing it with someone.
Yes.
And you're not a salty salmon with solo play, I guess. Because I am. I definitely am with those kinds of games.
Yeah. I tend to stick to solo. But, you know what is a game or a series that I've enjoyed the co-op for?
Borderlands? Borderlands!
Yeah, we played Borderlands.
We did.
We played almost all of the Borderlands games together. Yeah. And by almost all, I mean technically less than half. There's technically a lot of spin-offs.
Oh, I guess you're right.
But, yeah, we've played 1, 2, and 3 together.
And Wonderlands.
And Wonderlands, actually. Okay, maybe we've played about half the Borderlands games together.
And we played the extra DLC that was like the pre sequel thing.
I don't remember what that is.
The Borderlands 2 one that was free to set up for the third game.
Oh, you said the pre-sequel, which made me think it was before the pre-sequel. Borderlands the pre-sequel.
The pre-post sequel.
You meant between Borderlands 2 and 3.
Yeah, pre-post.
The in-between pre-post sequel, of course.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not confusing at all, guys. Come on.
Yeah, it's a super easy franchise to follow.
Yeah, it's like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, Borderlands 4 has now been announced.
Yeah.
And, I will say the weird thing to me about this is that it looks and feels very much like Borderlands 3, which I don't think is a bad thing. But if you look at the mainline games, Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and Borderlands 3, they're all, like, very different to each other. Partially because there's, like, huge graphical leaps between each of them, and they also just go for slightly different tones, slightly different mechanics, whereas this one, it feels like we're going to be getting just a sequel to Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be some new stuff, like plenty of new weapons and things, but if you play Borderlands 3, you probably know what you're in for with this. Which is gonna be slightly different for the Borderlands franchise, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they showed a walking shot of the protagonists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recognize any of them. except for maybe the Siren, who might be Ava. I'm not sure.
Okay, I need to find a nice pause shot of.
I can take a shot of it if you want. Because
I'm almost there. I've got it.
Okay.
I've got it on the trailer. Maybe Ava? God, I was going to be like, none of them look like Ava to me, but I can't remember what Ava looks like, so that's not going to help.
Yeah, well, she's also a kid in Borderlands 3, and I'm under the assumption that characters aged like they like to do.
What?
So,
but the characters aging in this franchise? No, I refuse to believe it.
Well, Tina is not tiny anymore.
She's tiny-ish.
So she's tiny-ish, Tina.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how I feel about it though, because if they keep removing characters that we like and not expanding upon them further, I don't know. I feel like they're a little too variety happy. That's what it feels like. We saw Zane. We saw a much older Zane.
Wait, did we?
We did.
I really didn't pay too much attention to this trailer, clearly.
Yeah.
120. Oh! Yeah, I didn't even recognize that as Zane.
Yeah, because everybody got older, Sarge. That's what happens.
What? I refuse to believe aging is real. I'm saying this when I literally have grey hairs right now.
And use the
but I refuse
old tag
to believe
in 76 before I did even.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, let me just day drink for a bit and then I'll be fine.
Got your wine glass?
Oh no, it's I don't know what type of glass it is. It's made of glass, that's all I care about.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Zane is there. Okay, everyone has got older, so it would make sense if Ava is the person on the side there.
Yeah.
God, yeah, Zane's a fair bit older.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how old he was supposed to be. But, yeah, that's... Man, people aging.
Yeah. But that's the only character I really recognized.
Yeah. I will say, this is only a 2-minute trailer, so I'm not too concerned. I imagine they're going to bring back plenty of characters. I'm kind of split, because on one hand, I don't want them to just show us the same characters again and again and again with no changes and just like, hey, you like this person? They're still here. I think something I actually kind of respect Borderlands for doing is they're willing to kill off their characters and move on and not get stuck down. It helps keep consequences alive in the universe.
Well,
like, every single game has a character die.
Yes. However, when a character gets killed off and the replacement sucks, then I start to have issue.
Yes. I can agree with that. I think the problem isn't getting new characters or losing old ones. It's always just how good are the characters.
Characterization, maybe.
Yeah.
And how they're written and shown, I guess. 'Cause like Ava didn't give us much to work with. I'm still internally angry just about her existing in the third game in general.
Oh man.
Because of the like supposed cut content where she was actually having human moments in the memorial of Maya and stuff like that, where like that was cut entirely. So instead we just got like just a really crappy kid for like the entirety of that until the very end, where she did literally nothing but became the leader of the Crimson Raiders.
I mean, I don't remember all the details of the plot well enough, clearly, because I don't recall most of this.
Yeah.
It's like, until you've been like the memorial of Maya, I was like, oh, Maya died.
Yeah, she did.
I guess that happened. To be fair, the only like big deaths are like Roland and Lilith in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Lilith at the very end was just granted Ava like the keys to the kingdom with like no earning it whatsoever, instead of just being an awful child up until that point. So like me and many others were very upset about that.
Man, I wasn't aware there was so much hate towards this child.
Oh, lots, because it wasn't earned, and there was nothing really like at the beginning I was just like, yeah, she's just a kid, but like as I processed a bit more, like there just wasn't enough there. Like the angle was like she's a crappy kid and she's rude and impulsive and stupid, and that's it.
And it does sound like children to me, but I also hate children,
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to tell.
Maybe because I'm not a fan of kids either in real life. So like maybe I don't know. This could get into a whole entire rant about like Ava existing.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting this strong a take. I really wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure we had this conversation before.
We
it's
probably
been a long
did,
time.
but it's been
so.
a while. Yeah.
Sarge, we've known each other for years. It's been decades now.
We have.
I'm just kidding.
We've not known each other for decades. Come on. It's not been that long.
So you want to be old, so I'm gonna play into it.
I'm still only a decade away from my teens, so I'm gonna hold on to that for a bit longer.
But yeah, some of the new enemy designs do look cool. I will say, whoever this antagonist is with the super arms coming off of her, and granting psychodom to these psychos, I guess, is kind of how it's being.
The start of the trailer is kind of cryptic, and I do like that.
And then the mysterious individual towards the end that they show in front of the vault gate.
Yeah, I will say that is one point where I'm hoping that Borderlands starts answering some more stuff rather than just adding more question marks.
Good point.
Because a lot of stuff in Borderlands lore is just like, we don't know what that happened and why that is.
Yep.
But it's also the case of the one game where they made to fill in a bunch of lore was like the pre-sequel, and people don't like that. People just don't really like that game much. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, maybe that means we need to make everything a mystery. But I'm hoping
like that's how they interpreted it or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I hope that's not the case, but I do fear that we may just get endless question marks.
Then they come into the reviews and they're just like, well, guys, you're just not playing the game right.
No.
Sorry.
I've been playing the pre-sequel. It's better than its reputation. I'll say that.
I did give it a chance. Maybe, man.
Its reputation is awful.
I may try it again at some point, but like, I didn't like how floaty it was.
Yeah, and I've heard people talk about, not just in Borderlands or pre-sequel, but any type of like low gravity or even just advanced movement seems to be a real hot and cold topic.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm fine with advanced movement, but like it just felt like there wasn't enough to like control yourself when you were up in the air.
Oh, dude, I'm real good at air control.
Okay, all right.
I'm a pro at it, dude. You want to know how I got so good at air control and stuff like that? Original PIPCAST co-host Tony Moe.
Oh.
Yeah. Watching all of his Titanfall videos, I learned it in that game. I learned all of the mobility tricks, like slide hopping and stuff, and boosting at the right time, and all of these things. And now I'm just really good at that sort of stuff in games.
I doubt anybody would know that name, to be honest.
What do you mean?
And I'm not making
Tony Mo's not
I'm not making a dig at Tony at all. Like Tony's freaking great. However, he granted me the PIPCAST name because it was originally hosted on his channel.
Yeah.
So the PIPCAST has now moved to a third channel.
Oh, man.
So if you've been around that long, I don't know, say something in the comments. It might be like Against All Odds or somebody. Like it might be somebody who's been here following me forever. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if anybody pipes up about it. But shout out to Tony. I hope he's having fun doing stuff. I know it's been still seeing him at least review some of the games he's enjoying on Steam. So that's cool. Dang it! I got sidetracked.
Was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, there is actually. So I left after about 300 hours into Dying Light 2. Oh, here's something. Oh my God, we're gonna add this. Dying Light: The Beast, the spin-off that Techland is putting out for Dying Light. It's going to be a continuation of Kyle Crane's story. I'm actually kind of excited for that game. However, Dying Light 2 it turned out to be a mixed bag for me, and I ended up not recommending it on my review on Steam. And just this week, it was one of the better examples of a review you could probably find on Steam. At least I'm not tooting my own horn here. It's got bulleted lists of pros and cons. It's got my own, sections labeled out. Like, I feel like I did pretty good on the formatting, so people can digest it however they want. I'm very proud of how I format things. But the funny part was, because it has been a negative review on there for so long, it's gotten a lot of traction, and which is something I didn't expect, because usually I don't expect my Steam reviews to get any traction whatsoever. But this one did, because of the amount of stuff I had to say and probably how easy it is to absorb from people. But that review was done probably like a year and a half ago, something like that. Like right after they introduced their DL points system. There were things in the game that I just didn't like. There were the story DLC that they added was barely even barely a new area to explore, like a small area inside of the city instead of like its own zone kind of thing. Where I kept making comparisons to the following for the first game that had not only a whole new map, but also vehicles you could drive around in co-op and stuff like that. Like full on changes to the mechanics that made it more fun to like beat up zombies with your friends. So a lot of my gripes in Dying Light 2 was just, it felt like a watered down version of the first game. Which sucks, because some of the things like the mobility and whatnot, and you're talking about like air mobility and stuff like that, are better in the second game. But all the things surrounding that, like even the NPCs, you've probably heard me talk about this before, like the majority of the NPCs are insufferable and suck. Like, they're not fun people to be around at all, where like how they resolve their issues is just screaming loud enough at each other, and then suddenly one of them breaks and does what they want. I'm just like, this is stupid. We're talking about characterization. This is really dumb. So you take a game with hateable characters, adding a new monetization system, adding content that is lackluster, adding guns as a reaction to negative reception, because guns were taken out for lore reasons, but then they added them back in because players were upsetty spaghetti about certain things, so they just added something players wanted again. That's my theory anyway. I can't prove it because I'm not in the development team, obviously, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So long story short, it was a long story. The developers actually replied to my review.
Oh.
And asked me to check out the game again.
Huh.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I'm going to be incentivized to actually do that, though.
But you could make a whole video about it, being like, the devs made me check this out, and you could put their comment and tons of emojis over it. I don't know how YouTube works anymore. God, I'm bad at this job.
View response. Here we go. From Techland Highlander. Hi there. It's always great to hear when players appreciate our first installment of the Dying Light series. I was recommending people play the first game because it's just more fun with other people, especially. As both gamers and devs, it's always held a special place in our hearts too. Though when it comes to Dying Light 2, considering your playtime and the date of your review, I'd like to know if you've had a chance to try the game after the updates and fixes we've implemented, and if so, whether your impressions of the game possibly changed. Feel free to contact me after updating the game to the latest version. Your feedback will be very valuable to the team. Thanks. So my wonder is that the reason why they've contacted me in the first place is not because they want my feedback, but because they want me to change my review to positive. So, because I'm a very cynical.
I want you to change it to positive.
I have such a cynical view on this.
Why would they not want you to change the review to positive?
They yes, they want to, but it feels thinly veiled, because that's not what they're asking. They're asking for my actual feedback, and I gave tons, and I don't think much of that actually changed. And also, a lot of my cons, like, that stuff you can't just patch too, unfortunately. So, like, the insufferable NPCs, like, if 90% of the NPCs suck, like, you can't you can't just patch that, especially if they're main characters. The Bloody Ties expansion, it already came out. Like, what are you gonna do about it? And the DL point system. Anyway, yeah, sorry, I just wanted to bring that up because it is topical to The Beast, which is the next Dying Light game, technically, that's going to be coming out next year, that I do want to play, because it involves Kyle Crane, which who is the main character of the first game, and I have a lot of nostalgia and I don't know, memories attached to the first game, because that's how I got to know Nelsar a lot better as one of my best friends now. So like I have the connection of Dying Light 1 on top of like wanting that to be like a fresh start with with the franchise, because Dying Light 2 just didn't hit right for me, even though I dumped hours into it. So yeah, sorry, that was a long rant.
You had a lot of thoughts and feelings about...
I had a lot of feelings.
Both the past games, in fact. I'm scared to talk about The Outer Worlds 2. This is where we find out that Caedo hated every character in the first game, thinks it's garbage, left so many negative reviews. Obsidian has just been knocking at his door non-stop, begging him to change the reviews to positive.
Yeah. Tim Kaine came to my door and I just shut it in his face. I'm just kidding. I would not do that. I would open my house to Timothy Kaine.
That's canon now. That's canon PIPCAST lore. Sorry, Tim Kaine. I know you were asking to be a guest, but Caedo hates you. Not gonna happen.
No, I'd be like the worst version of that. It'd be like, I let Leonard in, but I left Tim outside. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. Anyway.
Outer Worlds 2, the official gameplay trailer got shown off at the Game Awards. They did a whole little joke at the start about all the sequels they've made, and they said the words New Vegas, so that's the entirety of the comment section.
Did they?
Yeah, they said they made Fallout 3 Part 2, New Vegas.
Oh, New Vegas, yeah. Okay.
That was like a little joke they threw in, and that means all of the comments are about New Vegas, referencing it pretty much. But the actual game, The Outer Worlds 2, does look good.
Yes.
It looks like The Outer World, but with different weapons, some different enemies, some different locations, and, as they point out as well, more graphics. They just pumped in some extra graphics.
Yeah.
That's good to see.
I like more graphics.
Yeah.
But you know what I like more than more graphics?
Explosions?
Maybe that could fall into graphics. But yes, I do like explosions, Sarge.
Yep.
They said it like improved combat and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like melee and stuff, which I like a lot.
I mean, yeah, it's always one of those things with combat. Like, until you're actually playing it, it can be quite difficult to tell. But I'm going to imagine this is just The Outer Worlds and they've made a bunch of things better.
Yeah.
Like, I've got enough confidence in the team that they'll probably have improved with a sequel.
Yes.
Like, the game doesn't look or almost feel a huge amount different, which is probably a good sign. It means they've not tried to, like, redesign everything. They've stuck with the same world, and I think the world of The Outer Worlds and all the lore and stuff was some of the better points of that game.
Oh yeah, excellent setup.
Yeah, like, the clunkier stuff was more mechanical, really.
Yeah.
So that's an element where they've had time to hopefully improve.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't want to spoil what the twist is in the first one. Like it's pretty gnarly. Like, corporations took over the whole governmental system, and now everybody is slaves to their job. Ha ha ha. Cynical take on things, but like after you learn more, like once you get towards the end gamey stuff, like it starts to get very interesting, because there are like a couple of pretty big reveals of like what's actually going on in the system that you're in, and even beyond that. But it looks like also in this one, you could be a colonist from the colony ship that got activated at the end.
Possibly. Like, I'm trying not to read too much into like shots in trailers these days.
Yeah.
Like, you can definitely, because there's also a shot where it seems to be like pulling a pod out of space, so maybe you're just like the pod that got away. That could be you instead. Oh, there's a ship that lands at some point. Maybe you're just a space captain. Like,
maybe
you can always read into it.
Yeah, true.
Like, there's possibilities. Just tons of them.
Yeah, whatever
So
this
many
cool like infrared mode is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's for, but it looks neat.
Yeah.
Like, it almost looked like you were the character was like the other enemies were not visible.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
It's for spotting invisible peoples.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's when someone casts invisibility, you cast goggles that see through invisibility.
Yeah.
Making it pointless in the first place.
And they also showed chucking a grenade and then shooting it.
Chucking a grenade and shooting it is the coolest part.
Yeah.
And like the one flat-out combat improvement that we can be like, yes, this is an improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a good one to show off visually.
I like where this is going. But the wild thing is this was coming, it says coming 2025, but so is Avowed.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a lot. This is a lot for Obsidian to be doing at once.
Yeah. I imagine this is coming like towards the end of next year, seeing as Avowed is due to come in February. And don't forget, Caedo, there's still time for this to be delayed.
That's true.
Like, Avowed was delayed. Avowed was supposed to be this year. Now it's next year. There's a good chance The Outer Worlds 2 won't be till 2026. Like, we're being told that there's a bunch of RPGs releasing next year. That might come true.
Maybe.
Like,
mayhaps.
Yeah, potentially we have an amazing year for RPGs next year. But it might not happen. We'll have to see. Chained Echoes is getting a DLC as well, which the Game Awards snubbed, the fools.
Wow!
But yeah, the DLC for that game got announced.
You really love the Chained Echoes.
It's so good. It is genuinely one of the best RPGs I have ever played. It is ridiculously good, and it does not get the credit it deserves.
Can we go with our vibes of the previous episode and be like, objectively,
Chained Echoes is the best game that none of you have bothered to play.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Because
it's so good.
It doesn't matter how many times you say objectively, somebody's going to take it seriously.
Yes, I saw that comment. We all know which comment that is.
And it's okay if you take it seriously, but we're not.
Yep.
Just so you know.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of people on the internet getting angry over stuff on the internet, The Witcher 4 had its cinematic reveal trailer. That's right, we're getting another Witcher game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. Everything I see in it makes sense. And then I checked online and everyone was angry.
When you say everyone, do you mean
everyone, Caedo?
Okay.
Every single person that showed up at the top of the algorithms which show rage bait constantly was angry.
So the rage bait section was angry.
Yes, the bottom half of the internet is not very pleased. And you know why? It's because The Witcher 4, with the absolute gall and audacity, seems to have Ciri as the main character. You know, that person who the Witcher games were all about. They've decided to put her as the main character, Caedo.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Who could have seen this coming?
Just because it makes perfect sense, and if you've played the Witcher games or watched the show, you know that she is kind of a main character. And the only reason she's not like the playable one or the sole focus is because she's kind of a kid. So Geralt's instead pushed a bit further
She's green
forward, but...
in the third game.
Yeah. You do even play as Ciri in the third game,
Yes.
and that is the game where she talks about like becoming a Witcher and stuff as a possible path.
Yeah.
And then people are like, what do you mean Ciri's a Witcher in The Witcher 4 after talking about becoming a Witcher and spending all her time with The Witcher and being in all the Witcher games and books?
I can tell
This is
how many people
outrageous.
actually didn't get to an ending.
Yeah.
Just by the way you're describing it, because there is like an ending in The Witcher 3 that involves her like getting her swords.
Yeah,
Like-
it's the ending I get is like the one where it's just flat out as obvious as possible that Ciri is going to be like the next
Literally
big Witcher.
handing the torch, because Geralt, sorry,
Yeah.
again, spoilers, he's retiring.
Yeah.
He's
Geralt's old.
literally retiring with Yennefer. That's the whole Tucson thing that happens. They get a vineyard and everything. It's beautiful. and you're just gonna be mad. If you're just gonna be mad, that's fine, but that's how stories work. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
People get old,
No.
even though they're like a mutant that's lived for way more time than they should have. They still get old sometimes.
Yeah. But besides people complaining about the plot that they didn't follow, I've seen other people complaining about the way Ciri looks. And unfortunately, this is because it's the internet and they saw a female main character.
It could be that it may be because her features are just different from like The Witcher 3. However, they've always kind of done that. Like Geralt has also always kind of looked a bit different in each iteration of the games. Like if you look back at even The Witcher 2 versus The Witcher 3, like you can see it. Like
he looks different in each game.
Yeah.
Geralt in The Witcher 1 does not look like quite the same person.
Oh no, not at all.
I will say the image I've been floating around as well is one where she doesn't look right, but it's like literally a single frame sort of deal, where it looks like her cheeks are just too big for her face. They've suddenly like puffed up in one frame and everyone's like, she looks terrible now. If you actually watch the trailer, it's like, she looks like, no, that's Ciri but older and a bit different style.
Yeah.
Stylistically? Stylistically. That's it.
I also noticed like during the Kingslayer cutscene too, like some of the stuff in CD Projekt Red's cutscenes in like when they're like promoting stuff and whatnot, outside of like The Witcher 3, like something always kind of looks a little bit off. And this could be one of those situations where it just looks a tiny bit off, like it's triggering that uncanny valley feeling. But it wasn't enough to make me go like, oh, this is trash. it's more of a, we're just like, oh, okay, because it's pre-rendered, like it's promotion, it's purely promotional content, like it's going to look different regardless, because this is a pre-rendered scene that you're seeing, just to set up and announce kind of what a lot of us already kind of expected. And also, do we have time for a Cyberpunk rant?
Oh god, only a very, very small one, Caedo.
Okay. Well, you all know me at this point. I'm a little salty at CD Projekt as a whole, because of how they handled Cyberpunk. I'm sure some people can agree with that. Some people will say, Caedo, move on. I can't, unfortunately. They have this weird obsession with front loading stuff that they're not ready to show, and they haven't proven it wrong to me just yet. So being this was a pre-rendered cutscene, I am concerned that they showed us something too early as well, and some of the things you even see Ciri doing might not end up in the final product, because they did that with Cyberpunk.
I miss you, wall running. Even now, it's not in the game.
Yep. You know what the most recent update was? 2.2, bunch of cars.
Yeah, there's a lot more cars. You can paint your cars.
Cool.
You can paint them.
Oh, the thing that was in the strategy guide that I got for Cyberpunk 2077 several years ago? That thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can paint all the different cars.
It's in text.
Most of them. Some of them.
It's in writing. It's published in a book that you could do this in 1.0.
Yeah.
So, no, my salt is not misplaced.
There's plenty of salt.
I'm happy to take a picture.
On a slightly positive note, I do like the fact that they've decided that this trailer focuses around Ciri facing a monster, and like the start of that and the aftermath of that.
Hell yeah.
I think it's a very smart choice.
Yeah.
Show that this character is now a witcher, they are hunting monsters. You get to see some abilities which may or may not feature in the game. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
But it's still cool to see a monster fight. I think that's a big draw.
I'm glad you brought it back too, because the Witcher vibes are kind of all there. Like, there for a contract, a village that has been misled to believe that this is a god, not a monster, and then Ciri having to try to explain to them that what they believe is not the case, and them still following through with it even though the monster has been slain. Like, it's very Witcher.
Yeah, it gets the tone right. The overall feel of it is just spot on.
Also,
this is a good trailer.
She imbibed a potion.
Imbibement?
She imbibed
in 2024?
Yeah.
Disgusting.
She's drinking on the job.
Caedo, I'm literally drinking on the job now. Don't call me out.
What do I pay you for, Sarge? I'm just kidding. So that she's like a god being. Like, that's canon, right?
The Witcher lore is a bit much for me to go through in a way where I'll actually be accurate and correct.
Okay.
But she is special, but there's also stuff that happened in The Witcher 3 which means that maybe she lost some power, maybe she didn't. It's something I'm sure we'll learn about from the game itself.
But the reason why I was like, oh, she imbibed a potion is because, like, it's because only Witchers can do that. Like, they go through the trial of the grasses so they can withstand the poison that comes along with the powers that they get from the potions.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know if she can withstand the potion because she did the Witcher trials.
That's what I'm...
Or if it's because she's the super special
because
character.
She's a god being.
Yeah.
Like, I think we need some Witcher heads in the chat that have more lore knowledge, I think. Because, like...
Yeah.
I watched the Witcher anime on Netflix. I watched The Witcher live action season 1 and 2 on Netflix, and then Sarge convinced me that season 3 was not.
No. I mean, if you want to see a lot of Ciri walking in a desert, that's there. You can totally have that.
And also I played The Witcher 1, 2, and 3. So, but I didn't read the books. I'm not a real fan.
You fool.
Even though I played
Henry Cavill's mocking you
the
right
clunkiest of the Witcher games all the way through.
Yeah, I've not beat The Witcher 1 or 2. I'm not even sure if I've picked up The Witcher 1 and played it.
Yeah.
But I've played Gwen. So much Gwen.
That makes me hope that Sven actually listens to these, because I know he's all about the Witcher books, because when he came to visit, we went to Powell's, and he got a Witcher book, because he wasn't able to get them as easily where he lives. So I was glad to be helpful in that, at least.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't think I've ever seen a Witcher book in public over here in England. Like, it's just not something I've run across.
Yeah.
I've been to bookstores more than once.
Whoa. Hey, me too.
So much in common.
I don't really read, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to read more. I really do. I've got a couple of books I haven't read yet, and a lot of books I want to reread. But we are now getting off topic, let's move on to the topic.
Reading.
No, Caedo.
Reading is difficult. You know what else is difficult? Video games.
With these transitions.
Sometimes.
Oh, video games. Sorry, video games.
Transitions. It could have been either one, Sarge.
Yeah.
We just broke the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Well, I suggested to Caedo that we should talk about difficulty in Fallout games.
Yes.
And Caedo said, we talked about boss fights already, and then put boss fights down as the topic, which shows you just how difficult this conversation's going to be.
You suggested boss fights in your... You left that out on purpose to make me look dumb. I was like,
oh, we'll talk about difficulty, boss fights and stuff like that. And Caedo was like, boss fights, but one thing we have already talked about on the PIPCAST.
Well, what else measures difficulty in a game than boss fights?
So much. It's not just the boss
Only
fights. Boss fights are often...
obviously.
Boss fights are like these big events. Big events that do often test you, but that's not the case. Like, if you've played a lot of the FromSoft games, Caedo, then you know that boss fights aren't always the tricky part.
They're the only part of the game.
Sometimes it's the run back to the boss fight. Like if you're fighting Steve the Scaleless and you have to run through the whole Crystal Cave section where there's like golems and stuff, that's a big challenge. That's arguably harder than the boss fight itself. And the basilisks in the lower level of the depths, I'd say they're much worse than the Gaping Dragon. Like, it's not always the case that the hardest part is the boss fight. Boss fights do have a factor in this, though.
That's an unfortunate name a little bit.
You mean the depths?
The Gaping Dragon.
Because they're deep. Oh, the Gaping Dragon. It's because he's, gaping.
We should move on.
There is technically nothing wrong with that word. Gaping in and of itself is not a bad word. It's because people always associate it with a couple of areas of the body, but this is talking about his mouth.
I love that we're continuing to talk about gaping dragons.
There's only one Gaping Dragon, Caedo. There's only one, and it's because he got so hungry that his mouth just continued to grow and grow and grow.
Is there multiple gaping dragons if you're playing the randomizer, though?
Potentially, yes, but I've not encountered them.
Okay.
Yeah. On my Dark Souls randomizer run, coming January, like it's still a month away, and I've already started a second randomizer run in my own time. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
But... yeah, I don't think I dealt with a single Gaping Dragon.
Oh.
And I didn't deal with Artorias, who's the most fun boss fight. But we are getting off topic. Difficulty. The Fallout games have altered the difficulty a lot over the years.
Sure have.
Because originally, the games were super difficult, because the past hates you. That's just how gaming in the past was. It wanted you to die over and over again. That was the norm.
I know you're exaggerating, but there's a sliver of accuracy to that.
Yeah. I'm like... you know what? I wouldn't even say that I'm exaggerating. I'm saying I'm putting a comedic spin on the truth.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Then we got into things like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, where first of all, you have difficulty selectors. Mm-hmm. So you can play on very easy or on very hard. So it's a lot more customizable, but overall, even just the normal difficulty isn't too crazy. The game doesn't want you to die all the time. It just wants for death to be a possibility. And now we've reached Fallout 76, where the latest update is like, no, we want you to die again. Yeah. So I figured we could have a little talk about all that, and about what the best difficulties are. Like, what makes a good difficulty setting, stuff like
survival
that.
Survival mode, thanks for listening. A whole bunch
of things. It is survival mode, yes, that is the answer.
I spoiled it.
But other stuff too.
What kind of other stuff, Sarge? I've ruined everything just now.
Oh, okay. Where are we going to start on this now? Those were all of my jumping off points gone.
I could just cut it. I could just pretend I didn't say anything.
No, we keep this. We keep this like it is. You know what I want to talk about? The first difficulty point, which I've seen Fallout do, and not any other game, or any other game franchise, is in Fallout 3, if you played on a lower difficulty setting, you got less XP. If you played on a higher difficulty setting, you earned more experience. And that's something they've tried to do in Starfield as well. I don't like it, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I much more dislike the Starfield one. It's an instance where it's got a lot more customizability?
Yes.
Is that the word? Yeah. It's got a lot more of that, which, on one hand, is good. Makes it a bit more accessible, lets you mess around with things. But on the other hand, them tying in like specific gameplay mechanic stuff to it, I don't enjoy that. Like, I just don't like it. It's like... But then they did that a bit in Fallout 4. By Fallout 4, you get more legendaries dropping if you're playing on higher difficulty.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and feelings towards this, Caedo, now that I brought up like 3 separate things?
Okay, gee whiz. I think that the increase to experience has also been in Skyrim, because that's a suggestion I get in the leveling guide a lot.
Ooh. Yeah, in an indirect way, it does factor in, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you get more experience with those skills if the enemy difficulty is higher.
Yeah, because it scales like health of the enemy and reduces the damage you do the higher your difficulty.
Yeah.
So whereas you'd only hit an enemy like twice with a one-handed weapon, and therefore only get a small amount of experience, you have to hit them 50 times, because Skyrim really likes to make the enemies tanky.
And also increase the damage you take,
experience.
so if you hold a shield up to a very hard enemy, then they're going to level up your shield skill faster.
Or kill you instantly.
Or kill you.
One of those things will happen.
Just don't make sure it's not a human or a dragon, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, human with a steel battle axe, just boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Instant death.
Takes your head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when Fallout 4 added because Fallout 4 I think did a lot of things right with difficulty.
I agree, Caedo, it is the best Fallout game. Carry on.
Get what?
Carry on, Caedo, is what I said. Carry on.
Are you joshing me? Are you being a Joshua right now?
Oh, I've been getting more and more drunk as we're recording. I do apologize.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to meet you in the middle then.
Oh no. You have to drink quickly, Caedo.
Crap. I need to go get something. Never mind. The legendary system increasing drops or increasing legendary enemies showing up, I think that's a good choice, because it gives you, even though we have our own takes on the legendary system, I think it is an extra incentive to increase the difficulty for yourself, besides just difficulty for difficulty's sake, because some games do that. Some games reduce your XP and reduce things by when you increase the difficulty, and just like, why would I do? It's just me challenging myself more and not getting anything and getting less out of it. Like, that's not, I'm not into that as much. I would like more things, please, for my efforts. I like the idea of being rewarded for that, which is something we actually talked about with the raids. Like, it's good to have the reward match the difficulty of the thing in general. You don't want to just be punished for the sake of being punished. Yeah, which we compared to the previous update too, which was not... It's not raid level difficult, but it is... You're still not getting stuff back that you were investing in the caravans, so...
And that makes me feel a bit more positively about Fallout 3's XP one, which I've never been a huge fan of, but I do appreciate it a bit more just through this conversation.
Yeah.
But I think the legendary example is more interesting, because having more enemies that are legendary show up means that you're dealing with enemies who are stronger. Not a huge amount stronger. Although I did have on my Sniper Survival series someone point out that legendary robots are like the one legendary enemy type who you really need to kind of change your strategy for sometimes, because they explode afterwards. And it does change that interaction, which I appreciate. And I'm very much a advocate for difficulty settings not just being the Skyrim version of you deal less damage, enemies have more health, or enemies have less health, you deal more damage. I'm not a huge fan of those. I understand they're good for customizing the game to different player skill levels. Like, someone who's really bad at just controlling first-person and third-person games might need to be at a lower difficulty just to kind of get through it. And when you get better, you raise it up. But I do like it when there's some actual interesting mechanics in, which is why I love survival mode, because it is the hardest difficulty, but it actually changes how the game plays and how you approach things. And I'm always going to prefer a difficulty setting which makes me play differently, rather than just makes it take longer to kill something. And I've forgotten where I was going with the start of this point.
Okay.
But hopefully I made a good point in there somewhere.
You did, I believe.
Yay.
Well, I want to go back and talk about the classic Fallout games, because I don't know if you noticed when you played through Fallout 1, there's actually 2 difficulty
there are
knobs.
I turned them both down.
You did.
Because I wanted to actually get through the game.
So one of them is gameplay, one of them is combat. So the gameplay one, which is, I think that's the one at the top. It's called something else, I believe. But the general difficulty is the skill checks the active and passive
Okay.
skill checks. So if you turn it down to easy, you actually get a 20% bonus to all of your skills. But if you max it out, you get a penalty to all of your skills, all of your
Okay, I'm kind of
active
glad
and
you've
passive
pointed
skills.
out what that is.
Yeah.
Because I turned them both down. And
Yeah.
the combat one is straightforward enough. It makes combat easier. That probably means enemies deal less damage or have less health or you deal more damage.
I think it's
something along those lines.
Yeah, it's enemies combat skills a little bit lower. They don't aim for body parts. That kind of thing.
Yeah, but the other one is a bit more vague. It's like, I can't tell what this is changing.
Yeah.
But that's nice to know.
Yeah. But it's regardless of you doing that, and if you're not used to the type of game that Fallout 1 is, you're still going to probably get destroyed until you get a handle on the systems, and also, what the game kind of nudges you towards build wise, because agility is king. That's just how it is in the classic games.
Yeah.
AP is what's going to make you effective.
The Fallout games have, I think, consistently been getting better with making the special stats like all a bit more viable.
Yeah.
Besides charisma.
Besides charisma, yeah.
76 made charisma kind of okay-ish. And that's like as good as it gets in the world of Fallout.
Yeah.
Its charisma can be kind of okay-ish.
Well, that's like a new dimension
of
of uses too for 76's case, because you are in parties with other players. Now you can have like a positive effect on them too.
Yeah.
Which
you get to like share perks.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool as a charisma thing. But I have pitched the idea for possible topics of us of, you can tell it's by me because it starts with the word maybe. Maybe individual episodes going in depth on each of the 7 specials. And charisma's really the big one.
Yeah.
Because that has poor charisma.
Poor charisma.
Yeah.
I'm sure the creation / Gamebryo / whatever engine wouldn't be able to handle it, but well, maybe now actually, but charisma opening up companion slots again would be cool, but that would also require a companion AI that doesn't get in your freaking way with just one of them all the time.
I think that is the big thing in Fallout. Like, you gotta make it so the companions are actually worth bringing along.
Because you have the advantage of the bird's eye view in Fallout 2, which is the one I'm talking about for the charisma thing. Because every 2 points of charisma is a companion that you can have. So you can have a max of 5 companions in Fallout 2. So you can totally do a pacifist build and just be traveling around with all of your bodyguards that may or may not gun you down by accident. Thanks, Marcus. But it is a viable thing that you can do in Fallout 2 because of that just pretty massive change to charisma that never saw the light of day again. So
while we're on this kind of slight almost tangent, I want to do a full tangent onto how like the skills and build you pick can really change and affect the difficulty of the game.
Yes.
Because I get this a lot as someone who's made a lot of character builds, some of which are just very strong, others of which focus more on role-playing and going for like more thematic stuff. You'll often get people who are like, but why don't I just do the thing that has the biggest number attached to it and makes me objectively as strong as possible? And I think that's like a huge huge difficulty element in the design of difficulty when creating an RPG. Because you never know how people are going to play the game. Some people just are like, I want to look pretty. And also on that note, Infinity Nikki is just blowing up right now, and it's a game all about dressing up to look good. Like, there's a lot of people in the RPG space who are like, I want to look good, I don't care about the stats. And you need to balance your game so that it's still playable for those people, but can still provide a challenge for the people who are like, okay, this is mathematically the best set of equipment possible, and I deal like 5,000 DPS with this. Why is the game not challenging anymore? And I do not envy devs that. Just flat out, that is really, really difficult to manage. Because you never want to exclude people. And part of the reason why Souls games get a lot of praise is because they do exclude people. They're like, nah, we're just going to make it difficult and cater to the people who want difficulty games. But for most game companies, they want to try and include everyone. And then trying to scale it for all the different types of players is a nightmare.
Yeah. Oh, difficult is a triggering word, though, I'm sure. So, like,
Yeah.
the FromSoft devs want to make a game challenging for people who like to be challenged.
Man.
And then we can leave it at that.
I might have swayed to that before I then played through all of Dark Souls 3 being like, okay, when is the moment that this stops being challenging? Like, nah. Dark Souls 1, I was like, oh, okay, you have to learn to be kind of patient, to learn your enemies' moves, to roll at just the right time. Dark Souls 3 is like, ha ha ha, hope you got good reflexes, scrub, punch, punch, punch. I really don't like Dark Souls 3.
Oh.
And I've put like 100 hours into it.
Yeah.
Like, I took my time to realize that the game isn't for me.
Are you gonna do like the Iron Pineapple thing and just like play a bunch of Dark Souls or Souls-like games that are not FromSoft?
I mean, I have done. I just haven't made videos about it.
Oh, okay. Have you tried the Surge yet? Am I still right?
I've not tried the Surge, no. I think the last Souls-like I tried and didn't get on with was Lords of the Fallen. And the one I did get on with, and which I need to play more, is... Oh, can I say these words?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
like,
can
just
probably.
go ahead.
Sorry. Is Femboy Twink Simulator Liza P. I was going into them and I was like, ooh, are these? Maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
man,
Liza P
Pinocchio
is
is
great.
hot. I won't even.
It's so hot. It's ridiculous.
It's distracting how hot
Yeah.
Pinocchio is when clearly what you're trying to do is not die.
Yeah, you're supposed to look at the bosses, but it's like, no. He's right there.
Yeah.
Difficulty.
Difficulty is
not get
looking at the
distracted
boss when
anymore.
your protagonist is very hot.
Yeah. I do think it's worth mentioning and bringing up boss fights.
Also, I'll bring up for the other side Stellar Blade. Also, distractingly hot. Also, like
I've not played that, I'm
yeah.
afraid.
I haven't either, and I don't want to because
Oh.
distractingly hot.
Oh, okay.
So
Is Fate Grand Order a video game? Because I've been on the internet.
is what? Wait,
So-
what?
Fate Grand Order. I don't know if it's a video game or an anime, but I've been online. I've seen Astolfo. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his name. But yeah. Boss fights. I'm getting back on track. Not getting super distracted. I think it's actually an interesting thing within the Fallout franchise. I don't believe boss fights are made to be difficult. Or at least not a real difficulty spike within the games themselves. I've always viewed like Fallout boss fights as just unique encounters more so. It rarely feels like, oh, I'm going to need to work out how to change my build or how to approach this. Fallout's never had the same boss fight vibe as other games I played.
Yeah. Well, the Bethesda
Can
ones
you
for
think
sure.
of... I mean, even in the originals,
Well,
it still feels very similar to me.
I want to say how many 90s CRPGs have you played? Because
Not that many overall, I'm sure.
they're very similar.
Yeah.
Like there's usually a simple mechanic related to them, and they're like a big set piece. But beyond that,
Yeah.
I will say some of them are ridiculously the what did I say I cheated on? I cheated on the Baldur's Gate 2 DLC boss because I was just like no, I'm not gonna do this wave by wave without having a rest whatsoever in like second edition or whatever. When if you're a caster of any kind, you're just screwed. So yeah, but that's when they went a little too off the deep end. Like people just wanted something really difficult and they just gave it to them.
Yeah. But that's the thing, I feel like for the most part, Fallout hasn't done that. It's like the interaction with the Master, that's like kind of challenging, but you've just fought your way through, well, no, not just, but potentially you've just fought your way through Mariposa, which I'd say is just as hard as taking on the Master in a combat situation.
That's true, yeah.
Like, I feel like there's not much of a significant spike. They always feel more like set-piece moments than challenges. like the one example I can think of is obviously the raid, the Gleaming Depths that we've done, which that was the first time in Fallout where I was like, okay, this is meant to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, like in Fallout 4, fighting Kellogg, like Kellogg's kind of tough, but it gives you a fat man right beforehand.
Yeah, I was about to say we're on the same wavelength. Like they want you to make sure you hit him right in the face with that mini nuke.
Yeah. Like, getting to Kellogg is the trickier part.
Yeah.
And just in general, like, boss fights seem like they're not as challenging. I'm trying to think of examples. Well, can you think of any boss fights which you would say are objectively harder than the section right before them, like the run-up to them?
I mean, the Horrigan fight, even though you have to go through the entirety of the oil rig, like the Horrigan fight is still challenging, even though you have been running through like barracks and stuff like that, gearing up the whole time. If you get the squad in the room right before him to help you out, like it does become a little bit easier. But even so, like you still, there's like a couple of different things you can do. Like you can activate the turrets, which does trivialize. It does trivialize the fight with Horrigan if you can make it to the terminal.
Yeah.
But the straight fight itself, he just needs like a crit or two to like mow you down. So
in which case I want to ask you, because unfortunately I've not done the Frank Horrigan fight, I've not beat Fallout 2, guys, I'm a fake fan, crucify me in the comments please. Yep. Do you prefer the actual boss fight of the Master or Frank Horrigan?
Oh, that's tough, dude.
Yeah.
Well, after learning more about the Master, like that one's easier to exploit.
Mm-hmm.
Just have EMP grenades. Like, it becomes so easy after that point. If you have
or just tell him he sucks.
Any level, or tell him he sucks. Yeah, tell him he's not gonna procreate, and he's like, oh well, gotta self-destruct.
Yep.
You don't get that with Frank Horrigan. There's no. You can't speech through that fight, which is a fun way of juxtaposing the first game, like what players would expect after playing the first game and then getting to the end of the second game and him being like, no, you're just dead.
Yep.
And you're like, uh-oh. And then a gun materializes on his arm and man, I don't know if I'm answering your question at all. I like the Frank Horrigan fight more because it makes you use your tools to your advantage a bit more.
Okay.
Whereas the fight with the Master, I guess you can get that headpiece, that like psi resistant crown on your way down, which is very helpful. Mm-hmm. But it's still like a hallway behind you that spawns in super mutants and then the Master himself in front of you. I don't know. Seems very straightforward compared to fighting Horrigan. I don't know.
I mean, it's sounding like you're leaning ever so slightly towards Frank Horrigan, almost because it is more difficult. You can't exploit it as easy, and you don't have as many ways out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it's epic in its own right because like he only shows up once you set the place to self-destruct, basically.
Yeah.
So it's that extra tension on top of it where you're just like, Frank's not gonna let you leave.
Yep.
Unless he's dead, and so the timer is going at the same time in the combat log as he's like mowing through you and your team who may not even be there, by the way. Yep. Like because if you don't place your team like closer to the door where you come in, like you won't be able to get them again, unless you're shooting your way through the entirety of the oil platform, not infiltrating it. So like it's like many levels of challenge. I think I didn't even think about that part when I first went in on it.
I'm very split towards my view of Fallout 2 because I think the start sucks. Like I think it is the worst Fallout start out of all of them, honestly. And I'm not like
it's at the Temple of Trials.
Engaged. Yeah, the Temple of Trials sucks. I'm not a fan of it at all.
That's why I made a guide. Watch my guide.
Yep. Could have made a very good guide.
You can knock it out in 2 minutes.
Get through that part. But also, like, the mid-game of Fallout 2, I'm kind of average on. But the end of Fallout 2 sounds really cool. And whenever I hear about it, I'm like, I want to play that. I just don't want to play for, like, the 100 hours beforehand where I'm dying over and over again, getting lost.
What if I just took your build from your first playthrough and, like, got you to that point? And then sent you the save. Because then you wouldn't have all the build up to Frank Horgan himself too, which is part of the cool factor.
I mean, to be fair, I have played through like slightly beyond the point where you see like the Enclave just murdering people and stuff. Like, I'm not sure how much build up Frank gets in the middle of the game, but I already know like the initial kind of all the Enclave's big and scary stuff. But yeah. But I would say as well, part of the reason that I wouldn't enjoy playing through on a save you've done is because I wouldn't have like made the progress. I wouldn't have felt the sense of achievement. I wouldn't have got through all the difficult parts of the game, which
the difficulty
is important to do. Yeah, I'm bringing it back.
Oh,
by a shoestring or whatever thin thread you want to choose. I think difficulty has some real importance in the game.
Yeah,
or in the franchise. And man, it's. I hope someone in the comments will give their thoughts towards difficulty, because it is very much a subjective personal thing. Where I've encountered people who flat out refuse to play games because they just found them too difficult, and other people who flat out refuse to play games because they found them too easy. And it's such a difficult...
Yeah.
saying difficult too much.
Difficulty's difficult.
Yeah, difficulty is difficult, is the message behind all this.
That's going to be the title.
Yeah, it probably is. I know how you like to title things, that probably will be it. A question for chat is, which Fallout game do you think did difficulty best? Because as much as I'm tempted to throw Fallout 4 in as the best example, that's all because of survival mode.
Yeah.
Like, I think the base level very easy to very hard is not interesting in any way.
I agree.
It's the same problem as Skyrim. But then you get something like Fallout 76, which is not overall a super difficult game, but the difficulty comes in from the fact that it's a multiplayer game, and at points it expects you to be playing with people, and if you're going through solo and you come across a Scorch Beast, suddenly that's a lot harder than it should be.
Yeah, or
like a
trying
Scorch
to
Beast is...
fire off a nuke solo, too.
Yep. That sort of stuff is suddenly a huge difficulty spike, because the game expects you to have multiple people with you. And like, even when you're dealing with some of the quests and events and stuff which just have hordes of enemies. Like, I think when I was waiting for you to jump on for the raid, I did like one of the Enclave boot up the robots missions. And it's not like the enemies were super challenging or anything, but there were just enough of them flanking me that on my own I couldn't save all the robots. And I think that's not a better way to do difficulty, but it's kind of an interesting one where you have to play into this mechanic, and is it better or worse for the game to force you into mechanics? Because as a build maker, I don't like that. I like the why can't I say this word today? Customizability. Immersion ability that comes from playing RPGs. I love being able to play in different ways, but I also love games being kind of challenging. And when we get onto the what have I done, I'm going to talk about a challenge that I absolutely bossed, and I feel really proud of that achievement. Like, it's a real double-edged sword. And even though I'm the one that came up with this topic, I just don't know how I feel about it.
Is that how we're going to leave it?
Unless you've got anything else to say, because...
Okay, well...
Man, I feel weird now.
We didn't mention Colonel Autumn or President Eden at all.
Terrible boss fights.
If we...
So easy.
I want to just bring up, like bad examples, too, of things, like, not to do in the future, because those are just, like a half measure to, like, try and reflect what happened in Fallout 2. Which just didn't come off as that at all. It was just more like, we're in a room together, haha, I'm the evildoer, you're the good guy, let's fight.
I think that's also a very good example of you don't want your boss fights to be difficulty dips, where suddenly it gets easier.
Yeah. Because it was him and two Tesla guys.
Yeah. And you've just potentially fought your way through like a dozen of those same soldiers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you want your boss fight to at least be slightly harder or bare minimum the same difficulty as the place you just fought through.
Mm-hmm.
Which in both of those instances are some challenging fights, which then get topped off with something super easy.
Yeah. I'm talking about like Colonel Autumn in general. And also you can just speech him with like probably one of the weakest speech checks in the series too.
Ooh, which also leads me to one of my other least favourite boss fights, Legate Lanius. Old 100 speech boy.
Yeah.
That one I'm even more annoyed by because it is, like, flat out the final thing you will do in the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in Fallout 3, at least with Broken Steel and stuff, there's more things afterwards, and even Colonel Autumn isn't, like, quite the end.
Legate Lanius or General Oliver.
Or General Oliver, if you
truly commit to a Legion
faction.
playthrough and realize there's, like, half the content.
Yeah. But, yeah, those just speech 100 checks are a bit of a shame, which is weird because I don't feel the same way about the Master. With the Master, I'm like, nah, this feels right. I've earned just talking to him.
I have a feeling it's because of the build-up. I think it's just the build-up is done better, and also
I mean it's also the case you had to find stuff.
You had
for the
to,
Master.
yeah, you had
to actually be like, oh, okay, I've gathered this evidence. With Lanius and General Oliver, it's, oh, I leveled up 10 times, and now my speech skill just happens to be arbitrarily at 100.
And they're both very similar vibes too. It's like you've already lost, like even though the Lanius one is much more, I don't know, well written. It's like it's still kind of the same thing. It's like you've already lost. Why would you subject yourself to this further kind of thing?
One other point on that as well is I feel like in the Lanius one, you're just picking whichever option says speech 100.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Master, you have to look at what the words are, which I know we said reading was difficult, but that's a point of difficulty which I'm fully on board with.
Yeah.
Actually having to figure out what to say rather than going, oh, it's a special check or a skill check. Pick that every time. It's like a weird pet peeve I've got for the modern Fallout games, where I don't like how just picking the special option is the best choice.
There's a perk in Fallout 2 that color codes them too.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can spend a perk point to color code the like positive options to convince people of things.
I mean, kind of like that.
But like you would have to commit to that
into it still,
or use your brain.
Is it
sometimes I don't like using my brain.
Is it still like a perk point every other level or every 3 levels?
Every
in
third
Fallout 2?
in Fallout 1 and 2.
In which case that is quite a commitment.
That's a big commitment.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Would you like to have this perk that reveals, color coded dialogue for the next 5 levels before you're able to unlock something else that's cooler?
Yes.
Yeah. We can add that to the difficulty too. In the classic games actually, is a perk every 3rd level instead of every 2nd or every single one. Because that,
which is still something I have a pet peeve about.
I like New Vegas's every 2nd.
In an irrational way.
I like New Vegas's every other level.
I just can't get on board with it. There's something just within me that, regardless of any logic and stuff, if it's not like, oh, you've leveled up, this is where you get a perk, it's kind of the same thing every time. My brain just goes, no. And it stops at that point.
Oh.
And it's not, correct. It's not good for me to do that. My brain just doesn't like it. I have this problem with New Vegas, I have a problem with the classics, I have a problem with Borderlands, when you level up, a few times before you start earning skill points. Mm-hmm. I can't deal with it. I'm like, no, a level up means I get a point. That's just how my brain works. It's very simple in that regard.
Yeah. Well, I like the New Vegas route myself.
Yeah. And you're fine to like it.
Because
there's no problem with you liking it.
Because it makes you think about what build you kind of want to go with, as you're going, as opposed to just kind of giving you everything like Fallout 3 does. I
mean, I will say as well, someone who's made a Fallout New Vegas build, it's much nicer to be like, yeah, these are the 10 perks you're going to pick up. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just done. And I'm not like, oh, you have to...
Oh, yeah.
Well, I also picked up these and whatever. I can understand that there's some ways in which it's better. My brain still just says no.
I want brain chemical every level.
Yeah. I love it when I level up and it's like, oh, you get a perk point. Yay!
You just need to play more Vampire Survivor likes. That's brain chemical every level, Sarge.
I mean, I've played a lot of that.
Oh, okay.
I'll also be getting onto another game where I've been doing a lot of leveling up and be getting a perk every level.
Oh.
But we'll get to that in like 10 minutes. I don't know. Have you got anything else to say about difficulty?
Well, you know, one way to not do difficulty in the Fallout games, and that's just making Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, just need a little jab in.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's it. What are you doing? What are you, what are you doing? Sarge, get out of my house. What are you doing?
Oh no. I'm sorry, I was hungry. I broke in. Broke in. Oh god. I've been up to a few different things. So first off, just the other day, I posted a video I'm quite proud of, rewriting Blind Betrayal.
I saw that one yesterday.
Yeah. So the Blind Betrayal quest in Fallout 4 is arguably one of the more well-regarded quests in the game, but there's several points where I was like, I can make this better. Because the reason everyone loves it is it's, spoiler alert, it's the quest that at the end you get to decide the fate of Paladin Dance. That wasn't much of a spoiler, but it's
good
like
job.
an important, impactful one for that reason.
Yes.
But everything up to that decision is kind of just like, just pick whatever, do whatever you want, and we'll get there. It's basically just railroading you towards this one big decision. Which is annoying because it throws in speech checks, it throws in talking to a bunch of characters, it then gets you to find where this person is, and I'm like, all of this could have been decisions and puzzles and fun things for the player to do. So I rewrote it so all of that got thrown in. And so that you can chuck a nerd under the bus, because I thought that'd be funny. And yeah, I made that video. And it is doing terribly.
Oh, Quinlan.
Quinlan, yes.
Okay,
the nerd.
good. Yes.
Yeah. I made this video, I uploaded it, and I think it currently has about the same amount of views as the video on my side channel that's like episode 19 of Fallout 4 Sniper Survival. Like, for some reason, YouTube is just not pushing this video out, which is fun. Super fun. It has fewer views. I've just checked. On the second channel, episode 19, I repeat, episode 19 of Sniper Survival is a 1 out of 10. It is, like, doing really good. On the main channel, the Rewriting Blind Betrayal has just pushed its way to 9th place out of 10 videos.
Oof.
For some reason, YouTube's just like, nah, we don't need to show this to many people. Although I have just had a very lovely comment from someone being like, no idea why I showed up in my Google Discover feed, but I'm glad it did. So I appreciate that.
Oh.
It's... Yeah, so please go and watch that.
Could have to do with an SEO thing, too.
Yeah.
What's the title of it?
Currently, Rewriting Blind Betrayal Fallout 4 Quest Rework.
I don't know. Maybe like Changing Dan's fate or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do struggle with titles a lot. Especially because I really hate putting titles that don't actually convey what I'm doing in the video.
Yeah. No, like I want to suggest a hook that does make sense, because it drives me crazy when the titles do what you're describing as well.
Yeah. But I'm very happy with that video. I'm probably like over the next couple of days going to maybe test out a few different thumbnails, do some like title changes. Because my Kellogg one did okay.
Yeah.
That's like, I rewrote Fallout 4 to save Kellogg. And that's a bit of a meta title.
That one's more.
I need something better for it.
I think the reason why it's fresh in my mind too is because my channel name just got associated with like got put on a shorts title for the church shorts that have been being made. That I've been doing for them, and I'm like, I don't know if that's actually going to be good for your metadata. Like, I don't personally like care that I'm associated with this, because I think I'm doing something good for a community that matters. But you're associating a gaming brand to church messages, so I don't know if that's going to like mesh at all. So I talked to the dude that's doing the uploading and stuff like that, because like this is his first go at it too, for like uploading, and he's an older fella, so he's uploading shorts to their YouTube channel and kind of feeling it out. I'm just like, yeah, you don't have to add my name, it's fine, like this is its own reward for me. And also might jack up your metadata.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I just kind of dove into what I've been doing because sorry.
No, that's all right. I will jump back and go on to the boss fight that I did recently, which was in Final Fantasy IX.
Ozma?
I was going to ask you to guess. Yes, it was Ozma. I did the Ozma boss fight. Can you guess the move which I defeated Ozma with? I kind of punked him a bit.
Coin.
Coin's not a move.
Okay, whatever one you can do as a thief to throw gold at them.
That's spare change, and it's Amaranth who has that, not Zidane the thief.
What? That doesn't make sense.
No. A thievery is an ability that Zidane has, which
throw
I
is
use,
just an
which is
Amaranth
the chest.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Come on,
I'm a Final Fantasy VII player, okay?
Oh, yeah, disgusting. Going for the popular normie pick. Well, no, I played Final Fantasy IX, and I beat Ozma, the hardest boss of the game, with Frog Drop by Quina, the comedy character.
That's funny.
I dropped a frog on its head and died. And I was like, perfect.
Ozma has a head?
I also got all of the steals. I mean, it's a giant floating orb. I assume it's all head. Yeah, I got all of the steals. I played...
It's all Gaping Dragon?
I played incredibly well. I was like, okay, I've got to, like, auto-life and aura everyone, because some of Ozma's attacks just insta-kill you, which is ridiculous. I had return magic, so I could use Doomsday against it. I did the friendly monster quest, and none of this means nothing to most people, but I did, like, so much stuff, and I've just been racking up achievements in that game.
I know what you're talking about, and I can appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been playing so much Final Fantasy IX.
It's the friendly monster quests take a long time.
Yeah.
Do you do the Chocobo Hot and Cold already?
Yep. Beak level 99, all Chocographs found, all 24 of them. I also purchased the Robe of Lords and a Protect Ring from the exchange in Chocobo Hot and Cold. Like, I've been doing great at it.
Did you get
I
all,
have also
all the
been,
Cheno auctions?
I've not made it that far in the game yet, Caedo.
Oh.
I've not left the planet.
Oh.
I'm still on Gaia, yeah. My next mission is to go to the Shimmering Isles and then go to another planet, which is going to be really weird for anyone who decides to pick up Final Fantasy IX after hearing this and is like, what do you mean go to another planet? There's nothing about this for like 50 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a brilliant game.
Yeah, that moment also blew my little brain when
it's so good.
When I learned about it.
It's really, really good.
I also...
Great game.
Yeah. I had the Demon Gate moment, because Demon Gate is what caused me to restart Final Fantasy VII when I first played it. But Final Fantasy IX, that moment for me was like Kuja's Palace.
Yep.
The shadow puzzles, I could not figure them out. Like my little baby brain was so upset about it that all I was doing was I was grinding levels more than I was solving puzzles.
Oh man. See, I've been going through most of the game without grinding levels, which means Quina has like 10 of the 40 blue, or of their 40 blue magic spells.
Wow.
It's like, I'm like, cool, I've got level 5 death, I've got auto life, I got Matra magic to do that early on, I literally need nothing else.
Yeah.
Oh, frog drop as well.
Has Matra magic always been busted? Has it always been, like, good?
Matra magic is... No, not Matra magic. Matra magic is, like, random in this. I actually meant to say Limit Glove.
Oh, what's that do?
Matra magic is very random in Final Fantasy IX. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's terrible. It literally is just a random damage spell.
Oh, okay.
Limit Glove is when Quina is at 1 hit point, specifically 1 hit point, their attack with Limit Glove does 9,999 damage.
Oh.
And it's the way to farm Grand Dragons early on at the top of Burmacia at Popos Heights. I know too much about this game.
That's so great.
Way too much about it. But the other thing I've been playing is Omens of Destruction, which is the Total War Warhammer 3 DLC.
Nerd.
There? Caedo?
What? Yes?
You said there and then cut out.
No, I said nerd.
Oh, you call me a nerd. Oh, sorry. Discord literally just blurred you from all of that. It was like, whoa,
censored
he's
me.
calling him a nerd. Nuh-uh. But yeah, I've been playing Omens of Destruction, which adds in, like, 3 legendary lords, which is the 100th legendary lord to the game, one of them, plus the 4th one who's the 3 LC lord. You get Skulltaker, who's a champion of Khorne, who, get this, collects skulls. Yeah.
I don't believe it.
It's crazy, man. It's also like all of the Khorne lords are like, oh, this one's going to be like a melee fighter who kills stuff. Because Khorne's so one note. Like, it's a lot of fun. It is just, oh, I'm just going to charge in and kill everything. Mm-hmm. But every character with them is like, this one kills things. Because it's kill for Khorne. The 3 LC Lord is Arbol the Undefeated, who's never been defeated. And in fact, if you lose a battle with him, you either... There's an option that pops up, which is like, you flat out just lose the campaign, or you suffer diplomatic penalties with all Khorne factions. Because suddenly you've been defeated. And his whole thing is he's the undefeated. And I thought that was a fun little thing they had to do.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. There's Gulbad Ironclaw, who's a new Greenskin Lord, which is quite significant because Greenskins were in Total War Warhammer 1, and they've made a DLC for them in the 3rd game.
Whoa.
Yeah, because this is a whole, like, legacy sort of thing. But he's an orc who actually uses tactics, which makes him, like, the smartest orc ever. And he's got this whole thing where, like, if you have certain unit compositions, you get bonus effects.
Ooh.
And it seems really cool. And then there is the only lord that I've played as so far, which is Golfag Maneater, who's an ogre mercenary. And they have made ogres actually good in this DLC, which is why I've only played as him so far. Because before, the big problem with ogres is they're these nomadic people who take on contracts and just do fighting for others. They want tons of food, they want tons of money, and that's it. The problem was this wasn't really reflected in their gameplay that much, and their biggest problem before this DLC were their camps, which once you built them, just stayed where they were, so you couldn't really travel around, and you had to be very sensible with where you put your camps, which was just... It was just bad. It was bad gameplay design, honestly. But now, you can pick up those camps and redeploy them, and they'll be the same as they were when you packed them up. And it suddenly made it so you can actually travel around the place. And the thing with Golfag is he is a man-eater. He is like the top mercenary. And normally in this game, you're fighting lots of wars against different factions, and you have to like wipe out a faction so they don't keep attacking you or declare peace with them. Not with this guy. It is all about accepting contracts and fighting wars on other people's behalf. So whenever I don't have a contract active, everyone loves me. Like, I'm in positive relations with every faction in the game. But then I'll accept a contract, go to war on someone else's behalf. Let's say the dwarves want to kill some greenskins. I'm like, yeah, you'll pay me like 10 grand for that and 500 meat? Sure thing. I'll go beat up some settlements for you. I do that. I'm like, cool, contract done. Close that contract. The greenskins still love me. Because I was just a mercenary. Huh. They got no beef with me. And it is such a fun and refreshing way to play the game.
So war profiteer, basically.
Yeah, I'm a war profiteer, and it's so entertaining. I don't know why more people don't do it in real life. It's just so fun. What? It's a joke, everyone. I'm not actually an ogre. Come on.
Jesus.
But yeah, that DLC's... I've only played one of the lords so far, and it's already been brilliant. So yeah, I've been having tons of fun with that. And it's also like one of 2 games that I've spent money on recently. The other one being Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because I was like, I can buy it on the Xbox while it's on sale. Yeah, I'll do that. What have you been up to, Caedo?
How many... Do you own more copies of Final Fantasy IX than you do Skyrim at this point?
I think it's equal. I think I technically own 3 copies of both.
Okay.
Like, I've got the Xbox/PC one of Final Fantasy IX, which I bought, like, Microsoft Store sort of thing. And then I technically own 2 physical copies. And with Skyrim, I own an Xbox version, which is the disc one. And then I own the standard edition also on Steam, and then special edition on Steam. So technically it's only 3 versions of both.
Okay.
I can't think of any more I've got, but I might be mistaken there.
So I was just counting mine.
I'm not one of these people who buys it like 10 times.
only 3 to 4 times each.
I mean, it's also worth pointing out that I didn't get to purchase Skyrim until about 11 years ago.
That's kind of accurate, right?
Wait, no. less than 11 years ago. Just over 10 years ago, I bought Skyrim for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah. I was late to all of this stuff.
Oh my god, Sarge.
I didn't get to do much gaming before I was, like, an adult. So, I'm in a bit late to everything. I'm trying to play catch-up.
Yeah, I was just counting mine.
17?
Of Skyrim?
Yeah, 17 copies, right? That seems normal.
Yeah, it's pretty normal, I think. So I have, I want to say I have the Elder Scrolls Anthology somewhere in my shelf that I have not used the codes in because I already had, obviously, the PC version of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did the anniversary upgrade, so technically it's still the same version of Sky. It's still the same install of Skyrim, but with all the Creation Club stuff.
Yeah.
So that's like 1.5, I guess, or something. I've played Skyrim on Alexa. Does that count?
I guess. Maybe?
Yeah, I might actually have more copies of Final Fantasy VII than I do Skyrim. Because I have 2 greatest hits copies. I have the PC version in disc form, and I have the Steam version. So that's 4. I don't know if we're gonna count the remake because it's like a completely different thing.
Yeah, that's a bit of a funny one. Like Skyrim to Skyrim Special Edition.
It's like if you rebooted the entirety of
separate
Skyrim, like then it would qualify.
If you made it so that like Alduin was secretly a good guy and that Helga never gets destroyed.
Oh god, like he had a Disney live action arc.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm really the good guy.
Really weird.
The worlds need a villain. It plays all like peppy, happy music.
You know, if you want to see a really good example of the worlds need a villain ideology, both being written in a way which makes the villains suddenly have a twist at the end, and also makes it so the characters don't suddenly forgive them, then Chained Echoes has a really good example of that.
Nice.
It's such a good game.
Way to bring it back, Sarge.
Like, genuinely, the writing of that game is phenomenal.
Yeah. I do need to play it at some point. I know.
It's so
I know
good.
I do. I know. There's so many games, Sarge.
Yeah, there are. That's fair.
Should I mention the one that I've been still playing forever and probably too much?
Go for it.
Or technically 2, I guess. Like my cooldown game is Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which is still just tons of fun. It's the Vampire Survivors format, but it's on a 3D plane, so they do play around with that a little bit too. Where when they introduce the Azure Wield biome, they have like these bounce pads that you can literally jump to a separate spot, but you can also like impact diggable spots and just destroy them completely by landing on them.
Okay.
Which is a really fun extra thing. Generally, and there's too many weapons. There's so many freaking weapons that seem to translate over just great from the main Deep Rock Galactic game. But yeah, having a lot of fun with it still. Do recommend, even though, you know, I guess it's still, is it technically early access? I don't even know. It is, but it's you'll get lots of hours out of it. I'm at 57 already, and I haven't really maxed out anything, I don't think. So it's just a lot of fun.
Nice.
Do recommend. I bought Beyond Galaxyland. It seems like just a fun, fantastical sci-fi adventure game that came across my radar, and I just wanted to try it, but I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
So
I was gonna ask, how is it?
I just wanted to shout it out because it's very positively reviewed. I just haven't gotten a chance to jump on it yet. It's got that self-awareness, silliness, kind of like Hi-Fi Rush does, that I kind of like. Obviously, Sarge and I played and failed at 76 is raid.
Sure did.
But we did do some other stuff together. We did some dailies and whatnot, which you would see on screen probably. And then of course, Warmane, freaking Wrath of the Lich King, World of Warcraft private server.
Of course.
Kite and I just got to heroics. Kite has been leaving me in the dust, and I am. I love this dynamic actually, because this never happens. Kite is the one.
I have distinct memories of playing Borderlands games and leaving all of you in the dust.
Kite is the. Well, here's the thing though. Like, I'm familiar with Borderlands. I'm very familiar with Borderlands.
Yeah.
Like, even if you were leaving us in the dust, I knew where you were going.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a situation where Kite and I are playing stuff that's brand new to us. So, the thing that I like the most probably is Kite is actually teaching me things, which doesn't happen as often as well as I would like sometimes, because I crush games so aggressively. And
see, Caedo's just too good at games.
I'm too good of a gamer. No, it's more of a like, I have more of the time to freely give to games that Kite does not. So, but this has been the opposite of that, which has been a lot of fun too. Yesterday I was trying to gear up my Death Knight to like be able to do heroics, because you need to have like gear. It's when they introduced gear score and stuff like that, but they didn't show it to players. Like, you had to get a freaking add-on to see it. So I just had to feel it out, because I didn't bother with add-ons, like what stuff to put on my Death Knight to actually be able to join heroic dungeons. And I just put a paladin belt on, and I was suddenly able to join. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna replace this belt for sure, but I can get into heroics now. So here we go. I just thought that was really funny that it was a paladin belt that changed my trajectory. And the funny part was the immediate dungeon after that, I did get a belt upgrade, which the odds of that happening are hilarious. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I don't know how much longer we're going to be going at it for that, because we have hit close to end game. Now it's just more like reputation grinding and stuff like that. And obviously that's when dailies get really popular. So yeah, we'll see. But it is still a freaking blast. I recommend Warmane for those who have WoW nostalgia and don't want to give Blizzard money. So there's that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. It's staying in and also enjoying food that I haven't been able to enjoy for a long time. Pizza's freaking great. Love pizza.
Pizza's great, man.
Yeah. Man. Oh yeah, we got a meat lovers pizza. It was freaking delicious.
I need to make myself dinner after this.
Yeah.
And I am probably not having pizza. I'm probably having rice. I'm still going to enjoy
also,
it.
Kite made some cake batter cookies. If I'm going to make it worse.
So hungry.
Okay,
so hungry,
let's call it here. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching and or listening to the PIPCAST 3000. This goes up every other Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you to the supporters supporting my channel and the PIPCAST. I appreciate you. You're going to be credited at the end. Here you are, kind of, I think. Tune in next episode where we'll probably have another topic, maybe related to charisma. I don't know. But until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.